I'll let you know if they're inside. Okay, they're at mid. They're giving it up.
Oh my God! We got it!
Oh my God.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the North American LCS, the League Championship Series. Now here in the interview round here, Rivington III with Skara and Crumbs. Guys coming off now 6-7 on the league. A pretty good win you guys just had, but a composition that you haven't really used Nocturne more than once. You used it with the Yi composition. Was Nocturne brought out here because of the global threat on the other team?
I wanted to play Nocturne in the beginning of the game, just went in with that game plan. And we also heard last minute that they had swapped out Valros for Echo this game. So then we thought, you know what, they're obviously going to first pick TF. We can just pick Nocturne, and then everywhere that he goes, I'm going to be able to be there and help out.
And I'm glad you said that, because it actually leads perfectly in my next question. Skara, how did you guys prepare for that sub? What's it like knowing at the last second things are changing?
Well, it pretty much just meant that the mid pick was going to be a little bit more variable. We kind of expected them to pick, we knew they would pick TF. 100% Echo's comfort pick is TF, and they would go for it. And so we just decided last minute whether or not we wanted to ban TF or not, and we decided to keep it up and see how we'd play against it. So yeah, it worked out pretty well.
And in general, maybe some teams take it differently. What's your outlook on a sub? Is that to be focused, or is it kind of something we don't have to worry about?
I think the difference between the subs is that both Echo and Valros, they play very different champions. For instance, Valros is just known for his Kayle and Rumble, unlike Echo, who plays Twisted Fate, Ahri, Orianna, and Nivea. These champions are very different, and you have to prepare. The way you prepare for one, you can't really play the same style against the other. So knowing that last minute, switched up the plans a little bit, but we were comfortable in knowing that we had Nocturne against Twisted Fate in the end, so it wasn't too big of a deal.
And seeing that Jace went all the way through, what was your guys' choice for not taking that?
We just wanted Kennen that game for no other reason than we just wanted Kennen, and so we didn't want to run Kennen Jace, and we just decided that Kennen was more valuable for that specific situation against that specific team.
Right on. So now, as I said before, you guys coming in at 6-7, definitely picking up some momentum here in the middle of the season. As Jat mentioned towards the end of the game there, you guys held the longest win streak last season. You know, how are you guys looking at this season, preparing to kind of bring yourself to that position once again?
We got a bear in this game. Yeah, we got one. It wasn't stolen. We didn't lose anybody. We're very happy. We thought they were going to go in and try to do something, so it was very nerve-wracking. And I managed to get the smite without anybody there. So it's a big relief.
Yeah, when we killed Baron, Kitty started to cheer. Kiwi, it's yeah, we got Baron. And I was like, God, this is what we've devolved into. But it's small steps, right? You take those baby steps, then you take the giant leaps.
And how do you guys keep that mentality during a game? Because obviously things can go wrong, things can happen, but you seem to always stay cheerful. Obviously, Kiwi Kid with a smile on his face, almost competing with Wild Turtle on that factor. What keeps the momentum up and the mentality?
Well, it's just you have to have a positive outlook on stuff, because if you don't, you start to swirl into a depressed state, and that's really bad for your gameplay. So I mean, if you start losing a lot, you have nowhere else to go but up, right? And so at the point where we are right now, we don't like our record. Obviously, we've thrown a lot of games at Baron, and so we just hope to recover from our poor start and finish out the season pretty cleanly.
Right on. And earlier during Balls' interview with Quickshot and Jat, they were talking about, how much you guys receive from NA, EU, China, from the OGN. When you guys do your reviews, how much do you guys, put time into watching those replays?
I think we individually all watch OGN, and I think LPL is pretty hard to follow sometimes because they don't have an English cast, and the VODs are a little bit hard to find. But OGN is really the league that we look toward really innovative stuff and just what works. And so you see a lot of Dorn's Blade starts on junglers nowadays, and that's because OGN had it last week, and it already filtered into NA. So you're no longer going to see a month-long time where stuff's strong in Korea, but you don't see it in North America. Right. No, you're going to immediately see the transition week by week.
Awesome. So guys, a few more questions to come in here. Crumbs, for you, being primarily Zac during the beginning of the season. Obviously, we had jungle changes coming in. You saw some Lee Sin, then Xin, then Nocturne. What do you like about being able to have that pool opening up with so many champions?
I just like playing champions that can fit to every different situation, different team comps. And honestly, in every past maybe 5 games, they've banned Zac every time. And then that's just something I look at, and I remember those Zach games, and they're a bit cringy for myself. And then they banned it from me. I thank you for taking this off my hands. I can no longer throw games. So, you know, I'm happy my opponents have let me not throw.
Right.
They're helping me out.
And 2 more questions for you guys. Just kind of overall general how Dignitas approaches the game for you guys during Champion Select. How much, you obviously try to win there, but how much do you think you can win there? What do you focus on there to win the game in Champ?
It's just prep. It should be preparation the day before or the day of. You just spend a couple, like an hour or maybe a little bit more, depending on how hard the team is to prep for, and you decide what you value and what you don't, what you think they'll pick. And so we came into the game with a really strong game plan, and we kind of got changed up last minute because we didn't hear about Echo until we got in the car ride over here. And so once we heard that, we kind of just had to evaluate certain things a little bit differently. But in the end, we had pretty much the team combo that we wanted.
All right, guys, final question. It's 6-7 for you guys now. Like I said, trying to get back to that win streak of last season. What's Dignitas kind of doing in the house now to adapt for that kind of momentum?
I actually play a lot of solo queue now. A lot of just trying to get into Challenger and just playing the game a lot. Don't make fun of me, but I've been playing against bots. Yeah. I've been practicing skill shots against bots. That's true.
Last year during the World Finals, actually, I thank you for the answers and the question, guys, as we're wrapping up here. We talked to the Korean teams a lot, and a lot of those players said that they would actually play against bots for hundreds of hours, you know, finite or getting their skills down to that fine point before you can actually use them in game. So it did no reason to make fun.
That makes me feel a lot better, actually.
Yeah, man, absolutely, absolutely. So, guys, some amazing matches. Dignitas making another win on the season, 6-7 for their summer split record as they come in. Replays to go on the day as well. It's always a structure. You guys know what's going on. There's awesome stuff to go. 3 more games with myself and Kobe on the desk. But first, it's going to be Kobe over on the Telestrator to break down some of the plays on the day.
All right, thanks, Riv. And today's big plays are brought to you by one of the summer's biggest movies, Pacific Rim. Our first clip is going to be from that Vulcan and TSM game. And this is really the first blood and the first 4 kills that completely end up snowballing this game. First things to note out before this happens, TSM's composition is a very early game-oriented composition, and they are trying to rush this and make something happen. But Vulcan have made a really good change, which is switching their support and AD carry up to the top lane. So normally this would be a 2 versus 1 dive. It actually is against 2 people. And because of this, there's a really nice ward that's right here from Vulcan, which actually on your map right there is the vision's going to reach just to that point, which rushes TSM's initiation on this gank. So let's roll the clip, and we'll see how Wild Turtle is actually going to start this gank up as Reggie and Odd1 are still out of position because of this ward. It saw them, and so they really had no choice. The only big thing here was basically Reggie using his flash right there for nothing. TSM get nada out of that. But now the ward that saw them coming up the river also sees them leaving. And this means that Reggie is going to get caught in no man's land here because he didn't take the safe route going behind that Baron pit. And now ManCloud, he collapses on Reggie, forces him back, and this is where they start to get in trouble. Remember, Reggie's still no flash, so pause it here. All right, so Reggie, because he had no flash, there was no option for him. He could only run back here, and after the net was used by Zuna to slow him down, Xpecial overcommits to stun Bloodwater, and because there's no vision, it's so early in the game, there's no vision here for the TSM team, they all start to overcommit because they think that they can save their team members, but they end up all dying here. So we'll see how this plays out. Zuna now is able to change over to Xpecial, and since Zach has arrived, he's going to be the first one to go down. Now it's Odd1 and Turtle in trouble, and because they got Mandatory Cloud so low, Odd1 had to choose between getting out or actually chasing down that kill. They don't even get that kill, and Reginald goes to try and save Odd1, which opens him up to that beautiful Peacemaker there by Zuna, and then Bloodwater is able to flash in for that kill. So that just goes to show, you know, how when you want to save your team members, it can actually lead to your own death. Very dangerous situation. And remember that we do have an exclusive look for you at this summer's new movie, Pacific Rim, a little bit later in the show. But right now, we're going to send it back over to Jat and Quickshot at the desk.
Thanks, Kobe. All right, guys, earlier today, we asked you to hop onto Twitter and tell us which 3 NA LCS teams do you think will make it to the World Playoffs and why. Here's what you guys had to say. At the Claimer, that was an easy enough one. Yeah. My top 3 going to Worlds are Cloud9 because of the hype, CLG because of Doublelift, and TSM because it's TSM.
Those are solid picks, but that also doesn't account for Vulcan, who's right in the mix, and we actually saw Vulcan have a very impressive win against TSM earlier. That's almost the safe 3 picks based on top team and the old guard in NA.
The old guard. All right, at abark94 says, I think Vulcan, CLG, and Cloud9 will make Worlds. They seem to expand the champion pool and play better every single week.
And that would give a nice mix of styles, too, because you'd have the Cloud9 team who plays fast, and then CLG and Vulcan who play Vulcan reactively, CLG slow.
All right, so we're going to move over to at Aldelinus, that one. Cloud9, TSM, and Curse. Cloud9 is consistent, TSM is starting to recover, and I see tons of potential in Curse and Edward.
And Curse still has a long way to go, but they have been looking a lot better since the Super Week. Edward's getting a lot stronger, Coppa's adjusting to his new champions. Now the rest of the team just has to come around, actually.
There's going to have to be a lot of wins for that prediction to come true from the teams on the bottom half. All right, the next one up is at Zynock Boy. He says Cloud9, Vulcan, and TSM. Cloud9 is most likely to win this. They have so much communication and great teamwork.
I'd agree with Cloud9 being the favorite here, at least in the latter half of the season. It's hard to argue with their results so far. Just the 2 losses, very decisive and fast victories. Yeah, the performance they're putting on is absolutely fantastic right now. So moving on to the next one, at Mizuki13. Once again, Cloud9 because of Meteos's hair. Vulcan is just a solid team, and the 3rd slot is a toss-up. I picked TSM. I think they'll turn this season around. Yeah, and you mentioned how Scar had the anti-Super Saiyan by shaving his hair off. Meteos dyed his hair blonde so he could become a Super Saiyan before the season. We're going to have to get him some gel or some wax or something and get him really powered up. All right, so congratulations to the winners of the Logitech G510S gaming keyboards. And if you want to win that as well, do what these 5 guys did and hit us up at LOL Esports. Make sure to hashtag LCS and send us an OP tweet. It has to be OP or you guys don't stand a chance to win. All right, guys, we are halfway through this epic day of matches. Coming up, Daydreaming and Team Coast try to hook a win against Edward and Curse. After that, Team Solo Mid tries to bounce back from their loss to Vulcan when they take on Velocity Esports. And then in our finale, the top 2 teams in the league throw down when Cloud9 battles Vulcan. But before we get to that, before we get to our next match, we have a special treat for you. An exclusive look at Guillermo del Toro's epic mech versus monster movie, Pacific Rim, which opens tonight at 7 p.m. in a theater near you.
I'm bringing all the love for a genre movie, a movie that it doesn't get made anymore, which is the giant kaiju, the kaiju Eiga film. But I'm bringing it without any postmodern sort of retro sensibility. I'm trying to update it and create a bridge for new fans.
I grew up with a lot of monster movie and robot movie since when I was a kid. It's like I've been a part of this role. It's kind of dream come true.
We wanted to not reference other monsters in creating the monsters. We wanted to reference real animals and not reference other robots in creating the robots, but creating actually robots from reference on tanks, locomotives, submarines.
This is like Guillermo brought to life in all of its glory.
He's great at, sort of collaborating with actors and bringing out, what he wants to see. Essentially this is like a graphic novel brought to life. And no one could do it better. Legendary, known for making really big, epic pictures that feel so real, and then I think the combination between Guillermo and Legendary was just a smash.
The story that you're performing is very, very behavioral and very human, always with Guillermo. He really writes characters that have a huge amount of personality.
Most of the time, I was in some really elaborate, incredible set, and you connect immediately with the world. I think Guillermo did a lot of the work for us.
That thing's still alive, sir. Let's check for pulse. No pulse.
Pacific Rim.